Hey, what's up, Internet world? Welcome to Powerverse. I am your host, the Golden Mike from the North, Balamau Power. Now, this podcast was created in response to our pivot against the pandemic COVID-19 impacts. Here, we get to explore creative arts businesses, empowering and inspiring stories from our communities of First Nations people across the country. So I hope you enjoy these episodes. And like we always say here in Powerverse, stay inspired, stay empowered, and stay connected. That's all. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Powerverse. You are with your host, the Golden Mike from the North, Balamau Power, and you know how we do it here. This is the episodes of where we speak to inspirational people, grab stories from the community, and share it with the world. Powerverse. Now, before I start, I'd like to show respect and acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, which we are recording upon, the Gimwe country. And I want to also Bulumbaja for giving us the space. Cultural way, that's how we do it here. Today, we have a very special guest on the show, a brother of mine, and all the way up from the NPA, representing Bala Robbie Tamway, Councillor Robbie Tamway. I want to say welcome to the Powerverse, brother.
Good morning, Garbala, and good morning all the listeners out there, and big SO for having me on board. So I also acknowledge the traditional owners as well. For this country we sit on, and also acknowledge you, my Balamau Power, and the team for having me here.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Just a bit of context and background. We always introduce our people to the show, but if you could tell us your background and your connection.
Yeah. So Bala Robbie Tamway originally from grandfather is from Badu Island, connection to the Thupmul clan of Badu Island, and my grandmother is a connection to Danley Island and Murray Island. Families from Danley and Murray, and that's my connection to the Torres Strait. But my family moved to the mainland in 1969 when the pulling went down, and we relocated to NPA, Nothern Peninsula Area, and first to Injinu, Aboriginal community of Injinu. Then in 1970 we moved to a community called Bamiga, and we've been living there since 1970. My family, yeah. So we Red Dust natives now of that area, NPA. So that's the place we call home, and that's where most of my life I grew up in the Red Dust country of NPA.
Yes. Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. Can we give a bit of context, like for explaining NPA, Northern Peninsula Area for everybody?
Yeah.
Most people hear about it,
Yeah.
and we always have to talk and explain about the regions of the Torres Straits. But if we could shine some light on NPA and all the communities and the breakdown of that one.
NPA is such a unique part of the world. So you're looking at the tip of Cape York, the very most northern point. The tourists call it the tip, not the dump, but the tip of the continent. Tourists love to come there. In that area, there's a unique blend of indigenous communities. There's 5 communities, and 3 of them is Aboriginal communities, which is Umagico, Injinu, and New Mapun, and then we have 2 Torres Strait Islander communities, Seisia and Bamiga. These 5 communities came together, I guess, in the last 100 years, coming together at different times. Some, for example, the Torres Strait communities came together because of, islands running out of water, families, not having enough water, so families traveled there, and some other communities was put together by the government, some of mission, putting all the Aboriginal clans together. So we have that unique mix, which is not really found, not much areas, So today it's a unique blend. Historically it was 5 separate communities, in sense of local government, and now it's amalgamated government.
Yes.
The last 12 years it's been amalgamated to the Northern Peninsula Area Regional Council, where we have a mayor and 5 councillors. So that's a unique part of the world, unique cultures. Also non-indigenous families up there live up there, but there's a really unique mix there. It's a really unique place. It's positioned in a unique place. It's like the entry to the Torres Strait, and it's also like the entry to Australia. So a very unique area. PNG is there, and NPA is very unique. You can drive up there when it's dry season. When it's wet, it's blocked. Everyone's blocked out, but you can fly up there. So fly as well. So it's always accessible. But tourism is our biggest industry up there, and it's a good place. Growing up there, it's pretty remote. Most time you're playing in the bush or playing on in the streets and making your own fun. So it's not like the city. It's good upbringing. Good upbringing, creating stuff. Chasing birds, chasing animals, fishing. So it's a good life.
Fishing is amazing up there.
Yeah, one of the best. Yeah.
It's just because the beef when you run through on the East Coast, we always travel through there, from all the fishing industries. It's just vibrant. Go on say Turtle Island, you can see all them. Crab Island, you can see all them movements there, and a lot of crocodiles.
Lots of crocodiles. Plenty crocodiles there.
Big lizards.
Yeah, big dinosaurs there. That country. But you have the east and you have the north and the west. It's a unique part again. You have the west coast, which is kind of the west side of the continent, but then you have the east coast as well. So. I think it's only the only part you can at the same time, if you stand at the tip, you see the east. Yeah, you see the east and the west, so, which is unique again.
Even when you travel from both east and west side, it's different. Like you go east side, it's different. You get to the water, then you go to
different
the
landscapes.
Different
big
landscapes.
time. The rainforest, and you got the reef. So
it's deadly. Man.
It's awesome.
If people have the opportunity, it would be great to go up there and visit the tip. And I think at this time, with COVID-19, it has impacted the tourism. But it has also been given the incentive to explore Australia. And I understand a lot of people travel to the tip. I remember taking my team up there to the tip, and some of the ex-members and current staff, they had it on the wish list, and we went up there for business, but then we took them to the tip. The hospitality was really good there. Families always look after us there. Went to the tip, and some of them were like, we wanted to travel up this way because our grandfather dreamed of traveling up there, and it was great to see. And when you look the landscape, because you could stand and see Torres Strait. And then when you understand that you're right on the very tip of the continent, it has a different feeling to it.
Amazing.
You talked about, I want to touch on this one. This is great historically. How our families, we moved from that Saibai and all the other islands come down to go and settle and look for a place where for water because of the impacts that it had, rising sea levels and also the water impacts, which is still currently an issue today. It's amazing to understand the foresight that they had to be able to go and come and build the relationship with mainland and settle there, which is now home over the last century. How is that history being taught and captured, this particular knowledge? And I know for me it was an interest because I come from Luan, from father's side, and water was it's a big thing. We were known for natural springs. A couple of years ago, I did a documentary on, they call it the Spring of Life, but we talked about the impacts of how modern structures have disrupted the flow of water and how rising sea level still impacts the area. What I had discovered was the education, there was interest in mainland, but the education of people living on the history was not present. So how is your experience with that?
Growing up, you learn a lot from especially from those two islander community about the history of what they call a migration from Saibai Island to NPA. So they teach us about the two migration, the two times in history that the two waves came from Saibai. The first one settling there, settling now staying in Bamiga. Again, leaders chose that area specifically for the creek. They named it, today it's called Mosby Creek. And that's because it's for the water again. And then the second migration settled out where Seychelles is again for that spring there, the water. So water was one of the key reasons for the settlements. Again, those families, the leaders, they negotiated with the in the Aboriginal families there, the Aboriginal tribes, the elders there, to settle in these areas. So families was really in negotiation to settle in these areas. One of my grandfathers was also a key in that negotiation. A granddad, Joman Tamwoy, he was placed there back in the 1930s, to be a teacher at Ingenuous. So he's from Badu originally, so he was in the negotiation to settle these families, in these areas. And these are thriving communities now, especially the island communities. They're thriving. They're strong, they're dependent on themselves, they're independent and they get enterprises, and it's really going well. And it's again that blend with the Aboriginal families as well. And A lot of families intermarriage now, and
Yes.
the history is always taught, that migration, and then we have those Aboriginal families, the Aboriginal tribes, and again history again around those 5 clans that are in that region. In that region specifically for the with Gudang Yadakana groups, so, Gudang Yadakana tribes. They're the big tribes up there, up at the top, and then you have the Angamuti, Atambaya, as well as the Mutati clans there as well, families from Mutati clans. So these are the 5 groups that's there, and kind of together there as one family. So it's a really, again, a unique blend, and it's been peaceful. It's been a peaceful, I guess peaceful 100 years. So I'm just blessed to be a part of that. Torres Strait family that's been migrated to the mainland for work. My grandfather migrated there for work when the pearling went down. So it was all about surviving, all about looking after your family.
Yes.
Looking for that better life, for your kids. And I look back and I really thank my granddad, for making the step, taking the family in a lager from Badu Island, going to Ingenu, to his brother. So it's over 50 years now, and I thank God for that decision he made. True leadership from all them grandfathers that migrated to the mainland for work and for survive. Yeah.
Yes, I think, and that's kind of been the history of Torres Strait. The place is highly transit. It's a big, trading area. True. And over history, the families moved further down south because of opportunities, being able to find, either get out of the system that was controlling our people up there at that time, and find better opportunities here down. And you see families from west all the way come around, all around Australia. Yeah. But it's. So we're talking about bloodline ties back to Badu. Your relationship and connection still strong?
Still strong, strong. I try to maintain that. I try to go as much as possible. Every year. My last trip was in a helicopter. Yep. Sadly for our uncle's funeral, but man, I had to be there. I was so blessed, to go back. I always love being on Badu, and when I leave, I always cry, feel sad. Yes. It's always a sad time, because family there and our history is there, but. I haven't been to my grandmother's islands yet, Danley and Murray Islands, so that's on the bucket list,
Yes.
to see the deep blue sea people, the Malu people.
I have to say, I've been fortunate and blessed. I used to work with a company called Seaswift. Yeah. And I traveled to every island of the Torres Strait, every single island. And when I would go for every island, what was interesting was, when I rang with the island, we rang there, everybody sampled the name. One time I say, oh, you boy, and you mother come from this way, your father, they'll come and show us the history everywhere.
So blessed.
Here. Wow. And, the way it's going to come sit down, cup of tea, come sit on yard. Wow. And it was very, I don't know what you say, it invigorates the soul. Yeah, big time. To know that you're connected to all this history, culture, and this region. Big time. And it's, that way, this is what confuses the people. Like I just get into this. Like when we meet somebody like from Ireland, or ask, you boy, you get older. True. I look the face me, and after we make the connection, and most people they spin out, like especially ones that are not from the culture. They spin out on how we could do that. And I didn't realize it was such a profound, unique skill or attribute that we have until I, was in the non-Indigenous world, where I could walk with someone, and then other people would meet other people say, hey, I saw you boy, so we stick the bloodline. Wow. Yeah, and what's your experience of the
exactly the same, me. Exactly the same, like, even vice versa, like me seeing an old person, and I just saw an elder one time, and I was like, man, this guy looks like my grandma. That is, I say, uncle, like, you know this lady? I call my grandma's name. And he's like, no, I don't know that lady. And then he looked at me, he's like, I only know this name. And he called the maiden name. I was like, that's my sister, like this. I was like, oh yeah, he's married. And he's just chucking off because she was married now, but that was my grandma's brother. Yes. But just same skin, same face, like it's like a boy version of my grandma. Yeah. I told him, family, listen, it's family here, and I was shocked. I just seen your finger and your hand, you look like my grandma. You look like my mom. I was shocked. So I think it's so true, man. Like family, features are so strong, and they just know straight away. Yes. What family you're from. Yes. The way you act sometimes too. They know this family. Okay, this is crazy. True.
I think it's because we grew up in a big kinship. Yeah. The family and extended family is very present.
Big time.
Yeah, it's a blessing to be a part
Big
of.
time.
And I think I can just make a note here to the team. When we were talking about the stuff with NPA, if we can have some overlays and some images so people can get a visual context.
Yeah.
Because I think you got to really see it
Oh,
and
yeah,
be up
big
there.
time.
I really love visiting
Big
the NPA
time.
because seeing the
Big time.
immersiveness of
Oh,
the culture,
man.
and I like it because it's I mean, every community has its
Yeah.
challenges,
Yeah.
but it's progressive in its way
Oh,
of
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
The idea of even when there was lack of resources,
Yeah.
make something happen.
Yeah.
And it's just it was
Oh, man, so
inspiring
true.
to see a lot of things. Like I know they have the NPA Cultural Festival up
Yeah.
there. We were invited today in Dane.
Yeah.
We were invited to the first one actually.
Yeah, I remember.
The first
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
and we did our performance
I
there.
was watching you guys,
Cassandra,
Yep.
did it. We just
Yep.
call up and say, look, we're putting this on.
So
you know,
good.
community come together
Yeah.
and just made it happen.
That was big,
And
yeah.
now it's what 6 years?
Yeah.
6 years
Yeah.
in. And all from grassroots.
Big time. Big
that's,
time.
That's inspiring.
Yeah,
you know,
big
to
time.
hear stories like
Yeah.
that.
True.
Now, I want to get into the world of like growing up
Yeah.
in the NPA.
Yeah.
Like you touched on a bit of things, you make your own fun. But what was it like? Like, you know,
Yeah.
the upbringing, education,
Yeah.
and, you know, community life.
Yeah, man. My brother, it's been NPA. You know, some parts of it, you know, growing up in NPA is pretty hard. You know, because you know, in the 80s, 90s, is you know, our communities are, you know, rife with alcohol. You know, alcohol abuse, violence. So you know, growing up was pretty hard for myself. You know, experienced a lot of I guess places where as a child I shouldn't be. You know, I shouldn't be in them areas, and it was pretty hard growing up in NPA because at those times we had a big alcohol issue. You know, a lot of alcohol. You know, a lot of violence. You know, a lot of you know, cars. You know, speeding and fighting, and a lot of, you know, deaths as well. And it was hard growing up, especially in the 90s. And in my case, man, you know, we went through a hard time. I went through a hard time, you know, with my mom. Mom loved to party, and places where I ended up was some hard places, you know. And so growing up was like it was good, but it was also, there was a lot of hardship there for myself. And looking back, I thank God for my grandparents, you know, strong people. My grandma and my granddad, you know, because mom wasn't really focusing on us kids. My grandma and granddad took me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, to take me, you know, and then that happened a lot in our culture, you know, because you see a lot of grandparents growing up their grandchildren, and they become their parents.
Yes.
So I think, I was young. I think I was, you know, from a young age, from 5, my grandparents took me away from my mom. My mom loved to party hard, you know, so I was raised with my grandparents. Growing up with them, again, hard life, struggle. You know, we survived on what we can eat. Granddad, you know, had trained his boys to go hunting, so we always had, you know, seafood and had food. But again, just that hard upbringing, you know. And Granddad always say when everyone go hunting is whatever's in front of you, you know. Yeah. Don't have a selective. You just whatever food in front of you, whatever animal, whatever creature, you know, you catch it to go home. So growing up with my grandparents was hard. You know, they were old now. They were already raised, you know, 11 kids of their own, and then they had grandkids now to raise.
Yes.
In their 70s, you know, sickness was there. It was hard, you know. I was a young fella growing up there, and then you know, life in NPA was hard, you know. But there was a lot of good memories there, but there was a lot of hardship there. I always reflect on my upbringing there, and I always think about my grandparents, how strong these people were. Yeah. They're like, you know, these people were in a war, you know. They were in the war, you know. They were fighting in war. They wasn't even Australian citizen. They didn't even vote, you know. Yeah. And here and they are raising their grandchildren. Yes. So you know, my memories as a young person growing up in NPA was a lot of fun. You know, as a child, you always have fun. But then you reflect back as an adult now. Wow, man, you just think back like, wow, how did these people survive? How did we survive? You know.
Yeah. But it's interesting you say that it's up on reflection, because when you're actually living it, it's life.
Yeah, it's life.
You don't know anything outside of that. I mean, and I hear this guy, like, you know, the community impacts of alcohol. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up in Arupai there.
Yeah.
Same, because it was close. It was
So
like
hard.
a mission, like almost treated as a mission, and
Yeah.
systemic racism was very present
Big.
there inside, and you know, alcohol impacts was very present. It was
Very
a
big.
violent place.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, being the gateways for contraband running through from. You know, one continent to another, and
Come on.
you're just exposed to a lot of things at young age. And I tell everybody, like, And I was exposed to things at 11 years old. That's when I actually got active in these things. 11, 12 years old, and you're a child. But it's normal. It was normal.
Yeah.
It was normal. It was like, this is life every day.
Yeah.
It's not until you step out of that
and
world
you realize.
and look back, you're like, oh, wow.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. And with that, when you talk about the hardships, or go through, you know, we can look at it and say, look, the quality of the lifestyle was very poor, but the quality of the life was longevity.
Oh,
like,
man.
I just lost my grandfather at 91. He lived to see his great-great-grandchild.
Wow.
And that's the life expectancy for that generation, you know, from the 80s and 90s. For our generation, we're looking at 50, 60.
Wow.
And we're supposed to be more, you know, more immersed in what we call a quality lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it's kind of compelling when you see, because of hardship and hard life and making that will to survive,
big time.
it actually impacts that. It actually has a positive
big time
growth. And
big time.
yeah, so I think that's very important. I know a lot of communities go through all of that, you know, and seeing that that lifestyle of stepping out.
Yeah.
So when did you realize, kind of, you look back? When did you start reflecting back?
Man, I think I was in 19 when I met my I met my partner, and I looked and I was like, hey, I looked at the lifestyle they were living as non-indigenous lady, and I thought, man, I said, this is how you grew up, you know, like I was like, I think I never grew up normal, and I talked about the abuse and all this thing, neglect, or what I experienced. I was like, is that normal? And you know, she's like, nah. And a lot of things that I experienced was not normal, and I thought it was normal. I thought everybody lived like this. It was full on, man. Like you know, it was really tough. You know, my mom loved to party, and we come to Cairns one stage. There, we come to Cairns. I was a young boy, you know, and we were homeless. You know, sleeping in the streets in the 90s. I was young, you know, and I remember sleeping in toilets and sleeping in the park. You know, moms love to party, and so I thought that lifestyle was normal. I remember going past the cafes as a young man, and I would look into the cups, and you'd see the froth of the cappuccinos. I was like, man, I would love to taste that. I don't even know what it is, but I want to taste it. I can smell the coffee. I didn't know I was young. I was like maybe 12, you know. I was wondering, man, that thing looks like clouds in a cup, you know. I was walk past the cafes as a young boy and struggling, but again, thought that was normal, thought that was... So that was my young life, you know, between the age of 9 to maybe 13. I lived a really tough upbringing there, and I thought it was normal, you know. And then you know, I ended up with some of my uncles, you know. A lot of my uncles are pastors, and you know, then things started to look up for me, you know. I started to go to school, you know. I think I didn't do much primary school. I can't remember if I did a full year of primary school. I think I did no primary school. If you joined all the times I went to primary school, it wouldn't add up to a year. So it was tough for me as a young kid. But when I became 13, I went to live with my uncle, who was a pastor. Very, very, you know, big father figure. And from 13 onwards, he just looked after me, you know. And I remember going there to his house, you know, and looked into the cupboard, opened the cupboard, it's full of towels. And I was like, wow, you know, they got towels here, you know, they got towels for him, like lots of towels. And looking in the cupboard, there's, you know, all this stuff in it, like, you know, toothbrush and everything, Band-Aid. So growing up was tough, but from 13 onwards, things started to look up for me, you know. And only when I was in my late teen, I reflected, I was like, whoa, I think I didn't grow up normal, you know. I think that was a normal, and but you know, it makes you strong, eh? It makes you so tough and makes up here mentally. And when you go to things today, you think, man, you know, I look back and I remember one time I was young again, maybe 11, and we'd always go sleep in the toilet out in Esplanade here. Man, you know, families, Aboriginal families would sleep in there. My mom and my young brother, he was born 5 months premature, little baby, you know, we sleep in there, and the cleaners would come and they would lock the toilet at night. So we'd stay in the toilet. We'd be in there. But every morning I would wake up and I'd go outside and I just lean, and on the cage door gets locked. And this one morning, man, I went and I was just laying, you know, wait for the cleaner to open the door. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm laying there, and in the morning there's pop-up sprinklers that just pops up in the gardens, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was laying in there, and one came up, and I was like, oh, shit, it's sprinkling, the water sprinkling, and I saw a rainbow. I saw a little rainbow, and I was like, I was shocked. I was like, whoa, you know, a little rainbow. Then I just saw hope. I was like, man, there's hope here. And I just thought, I was a young boy, and I thought, that looks so hope. And every time I go through today when I go through hardship, in any hardship, my mind goes to the rainbow.
Wow.
And I think, man, that was so bad. Like, that's such a bad situation to be in life.
Yeah.
And that little rainbow, I was like, man, if I can just look at the little rainbow from inside a locked toilet as a young, 12-year-old, 11-year-old, this is nothing, like.
Yes.
So I always look at the little rainbow. So I think in all hardship of life, there's always a little rainbow there to keep you going, keep you strong, And I mean, it's funny when I look back now, but it's like, it's for a reason. You can help a lot of people and tell people to keep going in life, and and I thank God for the situation. I thank God for the situation, and I thank God that I'm still alive. So. But that little rainbow helped me. It still helps me today, the little rainbow.
That is amazing. I mean, something like that. Something so small where you appreciate nature's blessings.
Man.
And you carry that.
Oh, so good.
Those are crucible moments, those moments where it alters the perspective, it changes your life road.
Big time.
Your life path. And there was a lot of things I believe things sort of comes in 10-year cycles.
Yeah.
Because after that, when you start realizing this is not what life should be like, then it's the work that you need to do to transition everything from the mental to the spiritual to the emotional. And
big time.
I was interested. I will come back to it, but I want to hear about that part of your transformative mindset. You've seen Rainbow of Hope. Your uncle will come in and take you in.
Yeah.
That journey of that transformation now to become the person you are. What was that experience?
It was a natural one. I guess I was 17-year-old. And I got a job. I was living in NPA. I got a job on an island on the Gold Coast the job's originally for the coxswain. Yeah. I went to the interview to do the coxswain, and then I told the manager, the boss, my life story. And he's like, nah, man. He's like, you're gonna go in the bar. You're gonna work in the bar. So I was like, okay. He's like, you're a pretty boy. You're gonna go in the bar. And I was like, yes. So I got a job in the bar. I was 17-year-old working on the bar on the resort, and that was good. But my brother, I remember I went into an old Lifeline, like an old Salvation Army store, and I found a book. And I was buying books, and this book is called Think Rich,
Think Grow Rich.
Yeah, that one.
Napoleon Hill. Number one book is my staple book every time. I read that experience 4 times a year. Napoleon. Anyway,
I found this broken cover, old.
Or
book.
Did the book find you?
I did. It found me. I think it found me, and it was all breaking. It was sticky tape, and I bought it. It was like $1 or something. I got that book. I was like, oh, this looks like a good book, because I was doing meditating with my Brazilian friend. He was teaching us how to meditate, and I was reading the book. I started reading this book as a 17-year-old, and something happened. It transformed my mind, and a lot of the principles in there helped me. From 17, I started to make a lot of decisions that was pushing me in the right direction. Away from drugs, away from alcohol, away from other things that away from crime. I wasn't doing any crime, but I believe if I made other decisions, I'd probably end up doing crime. But this book, helped me. I was 17. I remember reading this book. I read it cover to cover, and meditating upon this book, and I was making decisions. It led me to going back to the faith, to my faith, in Christianity again, and making right decisions. And that was a big impact. And that's the transition, I believe, put me in a right path. Even to this day, I remember I'm making decisions based on a lot of the decisions out of that book,
Principles.
Principle from that book.
Principles of
Oh man, it's powerful, eh?
Yes.
So I can recall back, that book really shifted my mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a young fella,
I remember the first time when it found me, like the book. I was going through the same transformation. This was going to do Blue Lotus. I was much older now.
Wow.
Through that same thing, meditation transformation.
Wow.
Blue Lotus, the awakening was based on these philosophies.
Wow.
And then somehow this book connected with me, and then when I experienced it became the number one. I call it my philosophical Bible.
Wow!
It was the whole thing, and now hearing that story, everybody that I met who had some sort of huge transformation. Yeah. This book is a part of the library. It's a part of everybody that I've met.
Big time.
Yeah, it's an amazing book, and I really do recommend people to read it.
Yeah.
And what I love about it was Napoleon Hill wrote this book back in the 50s.
Yeah.
But he said something profound in his opening entry. Even if you hear the audio book, he says, "Look, I'm writing this book, and it will inspire the minds of those who are not yet born."
Wow.
So he knew that it would outlive his life and then be able to find us.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
big
that's.
time.
That's where, from that's how I treated music.
Yeah.
You know, I even quoted that in my first album,
Wow.
The Show, when I said, this book is for those not yet born.
Wow.
But it's like this song is for those not yet born, and it's can't talk enough about that book.
Too good.
Now, walking past a cafe,
Yeah.
seeing the clouds in the cup,
Yeah.
you know, wondering what this was.
Yeah.
To transform years later, you owning your own cafe, Thupmul Cafe.
Yeah.
Did that have any link or inspiring?
I don't know. It probably did, eh?
It seems
It
like
probably
a seed.
did. It did. I'd say it did because I love coffee.
Yeah.
I love making coffee, and I ended up owning
Thupmul
entrepreneur
Cafe.
own cafe and a coffee bar, and man, I think it had a big link, and I'd often go in and make myself a cappuccino or make myself a latte, and man, I used to walk past cafes, I can make my coffee right now, so I think it did, it influenced me big time, and coffee is like my passion now. I'm passionate about coffee. I'm passionate about the industry. I'm passionate about the whole scene, the whole smell of it. So I think it did. I think it had a big impact in my brain. I guess I'm looking and challenging myself, like, man, I wanna taste that cloud, in that cup, and because I didn't know what it was. I was just like, what is this fluffy thing in this cup? So I think it did, brother. I think it did. I think it had a big impact in linking that. Yeah.
Now stepping into Thupmul Cafe was a cafe / art gallery, which was a great concept. We had at the same time we had Bay of Blue over in TI, which was an art gallery, and we tried to link with the coffee. And I think at one point we were discussing to try and link. Unfortunately, for mine, the gallery, we closed that down, and then we created Blue Malu, which was the cultural experience. But I remember from the moment you set up the business, the impact it had, like the talk that it go through, it was just inspiring to see someone bring a concept up into the region and show that we can make it. Especially for our generation. And so getting into business, I'm very interested in the mindset of coming to the point of realizing I can have a business and then actually getting into a business, because that arc, I call it, from moment of inception, concept, to realization, the launch, it's the biggest transformation. Nobody knows how hard it is.
Big time.
Like, if you're not in there, it's very hard to get it to that point. And
Big
then there's a year after that where you have to
you have to make money.
But I want to hear your story about that. How you become into that?
Man, in 2013, I was a uni student, doing study. I had no money, and I was on app study. I was getting $400 a fortnight. And I thought, man, I gotta do something. I was dreaming, I had this dream. I was like, oh man, I would love to have a cafe / art gallery / youth mentoring. And there's actually another attachment to it, which is a hair salon. So it's 3 big thing in one. So it's a double. This is the true vision. It's a 2-story building. Upstairs is your hairdressing art gallery. Below is your cafe. You're waiting for your hairdress. You're getting coffee. And it's all employed. It's all in youth employment. So the whole employment, all the staff is youth. So that was the dream in 2013. I was like, oh man, I gotta do this. So I started to do dot points, on my computer. And then my wife came, and she was laughing at me. She's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm making a dot point, what I need for my cafe. She's like, oh, you don't have any money. I said, nah, I gotta put it down. This is what I need. I put all the things down, just dreaming, just visioning, visioning. And I remember as uni, I applied for some scholarships. I just put in for these 3 scholarships. And then a couple of weeks later, they rang me up. They're like, oh, mate, look, this scholarship's going to close. There's 3 of them. They're going to close. We got to give them away. Do you want them? I was like, of course. So that, it was $10,000 worth of scholarship money. Amazing. And he was like, a couple of weeks, he's like, before June, July, we have to give this to someone. We want to give it to you. I'm like, give it to me, So $10,000 went into my bank. I invested that money. I invested in the business. I thought, I gotta do this. And I bought the machine. I bought my first machine. I still have that machine today. Machine was in my lounge room. My kids, my babies are playing on it. I'm just watching the machine. And then second thing I bought a van, a van. It's like, I'm gonna make a coffee van. Start off as a mobile. Same thing again. Put the machine in the floor in the car, driving it around, envision the business, and just envisioning everything. Just seeing the art on the wall, seeing people come by, local art, seeing young people being trained and employed, just seeing it in my brain. Just picturing it, dreaming. And that's kind of how it started. But when I look right back, I was always inspired by my great grandfather, Tamwoy, who was a businessman, who was always business, and he started a big business, in the early 1900s. He started a big pulling. He had pulling luggers, and from scratch. He started from scratch. No government incentive, no government money. He started from scratch, and he ended up, when he was older, he had this big business. He was always inspiring to me, and always had the mindset of that we can start our own business, and we can become business people. We were always business people. And when you look at history especially of Torres Strait Islanders, we always was trading.
Yes.
We always was traders. From before Europeans came, we always traded.
Yes.
So my mindset is like, business is trading.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's just we're not trading skulls anymore. We're trading, money for coffee. So I kind of got that conception in my brain. And I thought, man, I can do it. Just believing that I could do it.
Yes.
I had upbringing. I didn't have really good education. I was like, I didn't really know my dad. I still don't know my dad. Don't really know him. I never grew up with my dad. My mom loved to party, and I thought, man, but I can do it.
Yeah.
I always believed that every human being has a reason to live. If they were born, they have a reason to live. They can do it if they just believe in themselves.
Yes.
And see themselves who they want to see themselves as. So that business mentality came. It's around belief that my grandfathers did it. I can do it.
Yes.
It's in my blood. It's in me. So I can do it. I believe in myself. And I in the concept of, for me, for indigenous people, it's the only way. It's one of the only way I believe that we can get out of poverty, and how we can really, really help ourselves is a business model, or to have independency in ourselves. And that's my concept of, especially for the far north, because the business opportunity is so great. There's a big need for businesses up north, and
Yes.
then I always encourage the local people, especially of NPA, that we have to start our own business, because there's no business around. And that's why when we started the Thupmul Coffee, the cafe, it was such a big hit, because it was one of the only coffee shop. It is still the only coffee shop up there, and it makes good coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes good coffee, and we got our own coffee blend and our signature blend. So it's a place of belief. I guess I strongly put it down to self-belief.
Yes.
And not really doubting yourself. And you have doubts come, but your belief has to be stronger than your doubts at times. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, just believing and just going for it. Sometimes we talk a lot, especially Torres Strait Islander people. We like to talk and dream, but sometimes we need to action it.
Yeah.
We gotta, we call it kai power means you talk too much. Your words are so strong, but we need to action it now.
Absolutely.
So just go for it. Whatever you have, whatever you have in your hand, just go for it. It's a seed. Seed is small, but the tree gets big, and there's fruits from the tree. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but that's my little spiel on that. Why I went into business and how I went into business. The transition. It's about self-belief and a mindset of dependency, independency. Yeah.
No, that's amazing,
Yeah.
and it's true. The saying goes, dreams only dreams, or when action then
Yeah,
come goals,
true.
then they turn into visions.
Yeah.
That's how you make the transition.
True.
And what you did there, talking about the visualization of
Yeah.
everybody says there's a certain internal transformation that happens. If you believe it so much and it's really in your mind, the world outside will manifest, because everything is internal, right?
Big time.
We create our universe in
Yeah.
our own soul, in our
Wow.
mind. I mean, if you think about everything that's currently
Yeah.
invented,
Yeah.
somebody had to have thought of it.
Exactly.
I remember the guy who made the transformers with radio waves,
Yeah.
and people thought he was crazy.
Wow.
And that, I've even experienced those moments when you had when I was talking about, I'm going to do this with my music to my partner, the mother of my children, who's my ex now.
Yeah.
But and she said something that I never forgot. She says, "Oh, that's like pipe dreams."
Wow.
And pipe dreams, I never knew what it was.
Wow.
What's pipe dreams? They say pipe dreams are like the dream list that you want, your ideal dream.
Wow.
But most of them, what I learned was most of them never transform into anything.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there. They took out to dinner. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, no, this is not a pipe dream. This is real. It's gonna happen.
Nice.
And then from there, visualizing being on great stages and doing all that, and then
Come on.
2018, you performed in front of 1.5 billion people,
Wow.
35,000 in the stage.
Wow.
And I saw this 10 years ago.
Wow.
But that's the idea of visualization, right? And then you do it, and you build this cafe.
Wow.
And it's from just looking at your story, from walking past a clouded cup,
man,
to actually being able to create opportunities within the community. That's a journey.
Oh man, I love it. I'm passionate about creating new things. So even now I'm creating another business, another coffee business in Cairns. So I love entrepreneur. That whole creating of new things and new ideas. I always need a new challenge.
Yes.
I always need to challenge in my life. I always see bigger things, better things. I always see creating new things. So
Yes.
it's always like my passion to be in a new place and challenge myself. I don't like to be static for years and years and do the same thing over and over. I always like to challenge myself and get myself into uncomfortable situation where I can, impact people and inspire people too. I like to inspire people and support people in that area too of inspiration and saying, oh, if I can do something, you can do something, And,
Yes.
And I'm always looking for inspiration too from around the world, people that are in more worse situation than I was, and they're making it in life too. It inspires me too. So
Absolutely.
give me the strength to continue on. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that when you get into the world of business, that there's certain principles and certain, I wouldn't say techniques, but things that guide you through, especially difficult times.
Yeah.
I have a particular system and way I flow, and understanding how I operate, especially with challenges when they come, whether it's a financial challenge or whether it's an operation challenge. There's a way that I operate that to address that. Have you designed or discovered yours?
I guess I got a few I kind of live by and we manage a business by. One of the first one was priorities, especially as indigenous people. We got different priorities to, maybe to other groups, but I kind of come quick to the realization of family, family, in the mindset of families when they look at the business, in their mindset, this is their business too. So I was like, oh yeah, great, come, They walk in, they show, you know what I mean? Like, come in, they walk in, no shit. I'm like, bro, you gotta put a shit on. This is a cafe. You can't just walk in with no shit on, telling the brothers and it's just, it's like you sit there and people walk in, my brother's got no shit on and they never pay for anything. So it's like, bro, you gotta pay for things. Like, this is not free. So that was around priority. I didn't wanna bankrupt myself or So I drew the line with my family. Especially up north. It's like, oh, can we book down? Can we pay next week? So I had to cut all these things around. Our family around. Okay, this is a family business, but this is not like everything's free family business. Like. So that was the priority. What's the priority right now? So the business was priority in itself. The business had to, eat off itself. It's got to live off itself. So I had to realize quick. Okay, this is gonna be a problem. This is gonna destroy the business if I don't put a lid on it. So I cut. Put good strict rules in it. And that was the first thing is priority. And the second thing was for me was the simple thing around KISS. Keep it simple. Silly. Stupid. And that was kind of my thing. Approach was like, this is our menu, this is what we offer, and we're going to stick to that.
Yes.
We're not going to compete with someone down the road who could be doing this, because we run our own race, we stick to our own prices, and we do what we best at. So we have to offer to people what we can do best. We're not here to, we're not here to be something else, we're here to be Thupmul, So we offered, so we kind of honed down on what's best for us. And we kind of did good to that, So we didn't, when other people were doing other things, we didn't panic. There's people that are coming in and they will probably maybe copy or doing similar things. I was like, don't panic, just do what you do. Don't even look to the side. Don't encourage, and support others, but just do what you do. And sometimes we panic and then we try to compete. And when we compete, that's when we go the wrong way because we're doing something that we're not called to do. Or some people call it we go outside of our lane.
Yes.
Stick to your lane.
Stick to your lane.
If you make coffee, make coffee. Don't try and do something else. So stick to your lane. Stick to your vision. And it all panned out. It's good. And the first, I think, 2 years, 3 years, we didn't really make money. And by then the fourth year now, we were making money, and we were living off the business comfortably. Kids was, it was good. So that was the little things that we were doing. And again, it's always hard to run a business.
Absolutely.
And you got a family, you got kids. It's hard. And other things around, I had a full-time job. And the business was running as well. And we had to employ staff again. And again, our families, a lot of times it's family. And some of they got the habit of not rocking up to work or whatnot, but we had to tune all of that, and bring that professionalism in. Gotta wear your shoes, gotta have uniform on. If you're not coming in to let us know. Things like that was simple, but again, you're in a remote part of the world, but be the best you can be. No matter where you come from.
Absolutely.
No matter what color your skin is, you just got to be the best of the best. In your world, and that's for me. That was the thing is priority, and just keeping it simple. Stay in your lane. Do what you call for,
Yes.
Do what you call for, and if you're an eagle, be an eagle. You know, don't be a duck. You know, just be an eagle, fly. You know.
I said I do. Being a Dane, they always use that philosophy and always remind us about that. You know.
Yeah, true.
But which is a great thing to do. Like I remember when I first started the business, because I had a full-time job and because I was working crayfishing, independent artist, my whole mindset when I came into creating a company was sole trader. So I operated differently. And I really, there were a few things, like I focus mainly on finance and legals because of the industry that I'm in. And the first 2 years, man, bro. Once again, made no money. But I didn't realize that the money that you get in the business is not actually the profits that you take home. That's revenue stream for the business. You have to pay for the business.
That's right.
And as a sole trader, what you take home is what you take home. You pay the tax, whatever, but what you take home. So it was a whole transition. Then I thought for me to survive, I had to diversify. I was doing so much things and spreading myself thin. When it got to a point where I almost broke. Then I stripped everything back. Like when I went through all the things, like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And then keep it simple.
That's it.
It's like you stick in your lane. I knew when I found what my lane was, I don't step outside of that. I just build the value with that one. But
so good.
It's so true. Good. And I think this is where I always had this I don't know, was not a positive, negative relationship with the mindset of the word entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship, when it came in, it became a sexy word where people start something, if it fails, they jump to something else, if it fails, it's like, well, you got to figure out. I always said, no, I'm a businessman, I'm not an entrepreneur. Even though you think it's an entrepreneur, I got the attributes, but I'm a business. I focus on this, like try to build that, and that's I think the distinctive difference between it for me anyway.
That's awesome, man. I like that, eh? But that's kind of my little beginnings there. And, I love when if I start something that it continues. Just a longevity and I like the things remain fruitful. I think that's my mind is always around the fruits remain, and that's like almost like a scripture, a verse from the Bible, and when Jesus says that your fruits remain. So when I look back, that's something that I create, and I see it keep going. I get really proud. Yes. I feel really happy in my heart. If I can start something, whatever it is, a program or a business, I would, if it continues, my heart rejoices in that. Even if it's not mine anymore, if I pass it on, because I always like to give things too. I like to create and give, create, empower, and give and release. And that's kind of my heart. I like that. And I'm always, again, my transition. I'm kind of transitioning into Kens, and I want to see what the future is in a bigger field. So
bigger field.
I'm excited for it. Yeah.
This playground, we enjoy this playground very well. Now, business transitioning into public service. You're now a councillor of Umagico. And coming into that, I know we have stories around this. It was like the underdog coming in and coming into that. What was that? What is that like now? Coming from that mindset back into politics. If you will.
Oh, that was big. Again, 2013 was a big year for me, and I started going to politics. Started to look around policy and studying, doing a lot of study around policies. Did a bit of study around justice, and then I realized that I was going into justice, and I realized justice is a policy, almost courts. It's all to do with policy. So I thought, man, I think this is something higher that you can influence. Is influence policy to change policy and what suits our people. So that kind of put me into politics. So I had a passion now for politics, into government and in politics, and I thought, oh man, am I going to leadership? So I was always fascinated with leadership. I love leadership. And in 2016, I was a youth worker for a local organization in NPA, a family organization that helped youths and helped domestic violence victims. So I was a youth worker there, youth councillor, and I thought, and it was local government election. And I told the youths, hey guys, we were at the youth center. I was like, do you want to do a project with me? And they're like, yeah. I was like, you wanna? I'll run for the mayor. And they're like, what? I said, let's do it as a project. So I got the applications. We and the youths went, picked up the application, went back. I filled it out, and I was teaching them. This is what you do. Bang, 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 bang. And they were so amazed, I ran for first time. I ran for the mayor of NPA. So I was one of 7 candidates. I was the youngest candidate. And as the election went by, we did the campaigning of it, and I did it with the youth. Just as a project, I did it with the youth. That was very exciting. I was with the youth. They were spinning out. I was in the social media, and just going to the campaign with the youth. And then the election day, I was with the youth inside the youth center as they were counting the votes. And I knew I wouldn't win because I was obviously a young person, not established yet. And seven, big guns, 6 other big guns, and I was just a little. I didn't come last. I came second last, it was a win for me. But thank God I got about like 70 votes. And I was like, wow. I was so happy. I was like 70 people voted for me. I was like, whoa, I was so excited. And the youths were freaking out, and they were like, oh, Bala Robbie, if you win, and then the mayor gets he or she gets a 200 series. They're like, Bala Robbie, if you win, we go cruise with a 200 series. I was like, wow, Bala, windows down, It was such a good moment. So that kind of got me into that. And then a year later, I was actually the same year, the councillor who won for one of the community, for Umagico where I was living, they resigned. So there was a by-election. So I ran in the by-election. I ran two elections in 1 year. So me and this other, the current, he was the current councillor, former councillor, we ran against him. Again, a big gun, well established, been around for years and years. He's almost like an elder, big brother. I ran against him. I think I lost by 10. I was surprised again. I was like, whoa, that's all right. And I kind of thought about the next election. I was like, okay. Actually, I lost by 8. I was like, oh man, I think I got him in the next election. So 4 years down the track, I ran again as councillor, and I beat him by 10. Again, I was shocked again. I was like, wow, I've been in the community for 5 years, and I beat the longest serving councillor again by 10 votes, which is, man, it's a big thing. And I was so shocked. I was happy as it was such a big breakthrough. And now I've been here for almost a year now as a young councillor, youngest on the team, youngest on the board. We got our mayor and 4 other councillors, and I'm the youngest there. And it's been a great experience. Fighting, advocating for a community, fighting for the people, learning about local government policy, local government structures, local government advocating for our people. I remember meeting in this room, meeting with the minister for I think it was for agriculture in this room. Last year. And it's such an honor, meeting all these ministers, meeting policy makers.
Yes.
Again, influencing policy, yes. To make a better outcome for indigenous people in our communities. Yeah. So that was kind of how I kind of led up to it. And where I am now is a place of honor, a place of privilege, and I'm really excited for the future.
Yes.
Around bringing more advancement to our people in our community, especially in NPA.
Yes.
But future for me is about going into the higher government again, into the state level.
Yes.
That's my future endeavors, my future plan, future challenge for me, to give the state seat a run in the future. So yeah, looking forward to it.
It's amazing. Yeah. Your journey has just become gone from strength to strength.
Yeah.
Hearing how you grew up.
Yeah.
From your experiences as a young child. From homelessness.
Yeah.
All through that experience up until now. A counselor, in the community, a business owner, an advocate, an inspiration. But you are a true inspiration.
Thank you, brother.
That's exciting. This is why we love doing what we do.
Come on.
We get to hear stories like this, and standing up, brother.
Wow, come on.
This is inspiring. It keeps the fire burning.
Come on.
And what is your future vision for the community as a counselor, counselor right now?
Man, for NPA, especially Umagico, I always talk about the word accessibility for good things, better things. So better health, better education, better food, fresher food, better food, price of living up there.
Yes.
Our youths, in better places of inspiring places, supportive places. You can't really save the world, but you can impact your world. You can impact your part of the world. And
yes,
if I can impact my community, giving access to better things, giving access to better programs, giving access to health, giving access to food price. If we can help with food prices, this is the way of living up there. We're in the 21st century and we're still looking for phone signal.
Yeah.
That's a big problem up there. We are fighting for is better phone signal, better youth. We have no youth center in our community. Youth just cruising the streets, make their own fun. So I guess if I can within 4 years, if I can make my community a better accessibility to better programs, better way of living for the kids, for the youths. Because my two big things was youths and elders, the vulnerable groups of our community, and after 4 years, if I can do a little bit, do a bit of good for those groups as well, it'd be a big tick on my vision for the future. So it's the next 4 years or the next 3 years anyway. So I'm looking forward to that and being an advocate and bringing in better programs for our people. So because we're in the 21st century, we shouldn't be struggling with simple things as phone signal. Where in places like Africa and India, they have good phone signal in the deserts, better than my community. So always fighting for that and being a voice for the people.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my kind of aspiration for the future.
Too good, my brother. Hey, look, I want to thank you very much for making the time to come in and sharing your life, your experience, your stories. Yeah. I know people will hear this, they'll be inspired just as I am right now.
Awesome.
There's one more question I always ask before anybody who leaves the table here at Powerverse. Now, I know after reading Think and Grow Rich, that we have so much philosophies and so much gems that we carry in our life and principles that guide us. Yeah. But if you had to impart one today to our listeners out there, one jewel, one piece of valued advice that you would like to leave as a gift, that you believe they will inherit and carry them on, what would that be?
Oh man, I live by one quote by a famous guy, everybody know him. His name's Robert Nesta Marley, Bob Marley. And he said this, it's in his song, and the quote is, "Every man has the right to decide his own destiny." It's in his song, and it's so true. Every man has the right to decide his own destiny. So you as a human, you have a right to decide what your future is and what your destiny is. So, if you're listening out there and you're thinking about your future, the ball is in your hands. It's in your hands and what you do with your life. What decision you make as a young person or as an older person, whatever decision you make will lead to the place you want to go. If I commit crime, I will end up in prison. If I turn up to work, 20 minutes early, I will end up in a better place. So it's a decision we make in our life. And you have the right to decide your own destiny. It's your right to decide your own destiny. That's something I always live by, and I still live by it today. And by that, by the inspiration of, I have the right to decide my own destiny. No one has the right. I have my own right. So, be blessed out there. And thank you, Bala Power, for having me on your awesome podcast here and your team. It's been a big honor to be here, and God bless God. Biggest so.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
There you have it, guys. The words there from Robert Nesta Marley, shared by the dearly brother, Councillor Robbie Tamway. You heard that inspiring story. I'm inspired, and I hope you took away so much value from this. I know I did. Thank you again for tuning in here to Powerverse. We always here, same time, same place. And as we leave you, I always say, stay inspired, stay empowered, and stay connected. That's all.